Wrong foot.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome again to the Dark Mirror Radio Show. Unfortunately, tonight we are minus Mark because he's been doing a lot of shouting over the weekend and doing a lot of things that made his voice disappear. He's now just a mere croak.
Mhm.
He's talking a bit husky.
Going too hard for St. Paddy's Day.
That's probably what it is. A couple too many jars, and he's as a result gone a little bit hoarse. So he's ready for the Grand National. So we said, no, you take it easy, put your feet up, we'll handle it, and hopefully we will. So, how has your week been, Josh? What have you been up to?
Like I said before we got in here, my entire family's been sick, so I've been pretty much just inside taking care of everyone this past week.
It almost seems to be that it's going around, isn't it? Again, that time of year. I mean, over here we've had really cold weather, followed by really warm weather. Then it's gone back to cold weather again. That's not good for things like flus and colds. And it just sort of picks up again, doesn't it? So it looks like we're going to keep going round and round in circles. We've had it here. We've had a lot of cases of what they call the 100-day cough, which doesn't seem to be. To start off with, I thought it was something like COPD, which is like they say that's a smoking-related illness, and it's like a bronchitis.
That's
thing.
Exactly what's going around here is like an upper respiratory syndrome.
Yeah, and they keep calling it. They keep calling it the 100-day cough. But if it is, I've had mine for more than 100 days. So I don't know. Mine must be the 300-day cough. Ellen's had hers for 6 months. But I think Ellen's is more bronchitis related, more than. She murmurs from the kitchen. So it's it's been going around. I was out Saturday night at a place called Streatham Old Engine in Ely, doing a paranormal investigation, and it was amazing. And for the first time ever, I'd actually seen something that I could not explain. Throughout the night, we'd been hearing strange noises, we'd been hearing clicks, we'd been seeing shadows. And then as we were just about to leave, I had what I can only describe as a warning. Something told me something was coming up the stairs. And I placed Eric, my REM pod, my little skull REM pod, I placed it on the windowsill right next to the staircase. And before I could get to it, it started flashing and beeping like crazy. And just as I got to the top step, this face of an old man literally came bang straight into mine.
Wow.
Literally right up there. I'm like, whoa. And I staggered backwards because I was literally a step down on the stairs. And I staggered back. And I'm like, whoa, got me composure, thinking it was one of the other team. And I'm like, no, it's not, because he's gone. Whoever it was had just vanished. So I've gone shooting down the stairs, caught up with everybody else, and I've run into the reception hall for this museum. And on the counter there was a big blank piece of paper for everybody to write the words down that they had come through. And I grabbed this pencil and I started drawing the face that I'd seen. and it was an old man with a flat cap, and he had a bright white beard, and it had a black smudge mark right down there, right down the middle. His beard came down to about here, and it was literally a big black smudge mark right the way down there, and he had a pipe hanging out his mouth. And they were like, really? That was what you saw? I said, yeah, he was upstairs. And it turned out that it was this guy called John who worked there. And they were like, we're going to have to check up on the records for that and find out whether a man with those features actually ever worked there. But to have this guy sort of just come up in front of my face like that, I'm like, nah, that's not on. That's the first time I've actually had something like that happen, where I've actually seen a face right there in front of me. And it didn't stop. It just kept going on all night. We had two of the team. One of them had started just random, went quiet and started giggling for no apparent reason. And when one of our other friends came along and said, put his hands on his shoulders and said, come on, step forward, it skipped from one person to the other. And he sort of put his defences up and sat down. And I'm like, you know, this has been ramping up to this all night. I think we'd better off walking away from this. And then as we went back to the base room, we found a roof slate on the footpath going around the outside of the building. Now, the problem is the roof at this place doesn't have slate tiles. They're all corrugated pottery tiles. The house next door does, but there's about 500 foot between the property we were in and the property next door. There was no way and we checked on their roof. Their roof sort of slants into our direction, but when we've shone the torch up there, there's no missing slates or anything. And we're like, okay, where's that come from? So pretty good night and full of fun. Have we got any news on the UFO front?
Not over here. Nothing too new. I mean, Mark talked to me earlier about something going on in Ireland. Do you know anything about that?
I haven't as
about a
of
possible
yet.
USO that's been reported over a World War II area where two ships have sunk, one American, one British.
I have the only thing I have seen at the moment again is been on typical TikTok, where people in the US have been sort of floating about and they've seen UFOs in the sky and they've been recording it. The problem has been that a lot of the video footage that some of them have come up, it's looking too obvious. The one I saw just recently, I say just recently, a couple of hours ago, this guy was driving his truck down the freeway, and he was actually describing as if it had actually happened. It had already happened, had taken place, and he's standing there pointing the camera up and going. And as I looked, I could see this, and he points the camera up, and you can see this little object sort of on the edge of the clouds, but it was the typical diamond shape.
I do know what video you're talking
that has been
about.
seen. And I'm thinking, I'm not too sure about this. And then he moved the camera, and you just see it sort of jump a little bit and then goes back. And I'm like, alarm bells are ringing.
Gaia has another story going with another body. Apparently, this one found buried beneath the Nazca lines. Rumor has it that, like last year, you heard that there was a truck driver that went and drove and destroyed part of the Nazca lines. Well, apparently, while they were looking into this, there was a body found, and who really knows with all that, though.
Yes, they dug up another mummy, hadn't they?
Yeah.
The problem is with that, I saw the footage of it, And to me, it looks. Do you remember? I think it was September last year. There was a guy had said he found these bodies.
In Mexico.
Yeah, it seemed to me that the ones that they found in the Nazca lines were made of the same material as the ones that this guy was saying about from Mexico. They looked identical, apart from the fact that they weren't laying down.
Right.
You know, it just sort of. I got a bit concerned when I saw it and thought, hang on a minute, that's the same material as these ones from this guy last year, and they turned out to be fake.
Well, now they came back and said that there is DNA in them, so I don't.
Well, they X-rayed it, didn't they? They've X-rayed it,
Yeah.
and you can clearly see where there were bones on the inside. So this one's probably going to be probably have a lot more credential to it than this other guy in Mexico.
I mean, that's the whole thing with them too. I mean, they make a whole movie and a profit out of this.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you can make headline news from saying you've seen a UFO and you've got a bit of evidence there or something similar, then the chances are the press are going to come to you and the money starts coming in, because you can sort of say, well, this is where I was, and you can turn that into a tourist hotspot. Oh, we swapped over.
Like you were saying too, I mean, how long really should it have taken them to find DNA evidence? How long was that literally going on? I mean, I think they made like 4 or 5 seasons out of it now.
Yeah.
Out of them 3 original bodies that were found.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to stand to reason. The first thing you do is do a proper, all the scans, X-rays, all of that lot, wouldn't you? You'd do the test to see whether there is any DNA available. You certainly wouldn't just stand there for ages going, oh, yeah, well, it's this, that, and the other, and not even go down the DNA route. Whereas this one from Nazca, they've actually already X-rayed it, and you can see there's bones inside, or the void where the bones would have been.
Right.
So it's
that was the other thing too, with one of the Mexican ones, that it was pregnant. So I mean,
yeah, there's still got to be the proof of it, though, isn't there?
right.
We got one here. UFO hunters claim they have found an underwater alien base on Google Maps. And this was 8 months ago. An alien researcher believes he has found evidence of a giant pyramid beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean that could be an alien underwater base. Found by Argentine researcher Marcelo Agazusta, I managed to say it, and detailed on the UFO sightings daily blog by Scott Waring, the object is said to be measured more than 8.5 miles across at its base. And even if this is not a UFO that landed in the ocean that was being used as an alien base, it still is a monumental discovery. An 8.5 mile pyramid, biggest the world has ever known, and it's right off Mexico near the ancient Mayan and Aztec pyramids. Humans could never have built such a construction. Only aliens could accomplish making such a massive structure. Though clearly excited, there are several similar sized points nearby, and Google Maps is known to show the landscape of mapped ocean floor, including the various underwater peaks and trenches that are common in the Pacific. That reminds me so much of the Alaska. Is it the Black Pyramid in Alaska?
Yeah.
It reminds me so much of that. I mean, who's to say that that wasn't a built pyramid, that pyramid wasn't actually there when it was a dry land mass rather than underwater? And it's just over the years with earthquakes and the tectonic plates moving.
Oh, absolutely.
It's gone underwater. I do.
It was so strange what Neil Armstrong said about that pyramid too, when he went and saw it, about how he saw something truly evil that all mankind should know about.
To be honest, I think, unfortunately, I think a lot of it is coming down to an age thing, with both Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, because as they got older, they started getting a bit more weirder and quirkier. I mean, for the likes of Buzz Aldrin to stand there and say, yes, we went to the moon, then all of a sudden change his story to, no, we didn't, to, yes, we did, then to, no, we didn't. You know, it was almost like Joe Biden.
But he makes fools of us all.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's weird that, you know, I mean, when you look at the likes of NASA started off as an oceanic exploration team. Then eventually said, see you later, we're not gonna float about down here anymore. We're gonna go off into space instead. Why?
Right.
Why all of a sudden change your mind from exploring the deepest ocean to saying we're gonna go off into space instead?
Because they found something that was like, well, let's find somewhere else to be.
Yeah. I don't like this. I think I'm going elsewhere. like a typical anybody in that situation. You know, if you don't like confrontation and you're walking down the street and all of a sudden there's a fist fight between 20 people in front of you, you're not going to carry on walking towards it, are you? You know, if you don't do confrontation, you're likely to turn around and say, I'll go round it, I'll go the other way. If there's something down there they don't like the look of, they're going to go, aren't they? You know, they're not going to stick around. And on the cryptid front, we have the Solomon Islands dragon snake. This is all coming from Mark, by the way. Mm-hmm. So although he may not be presenting tonight, he's passing me all this stuff and going, hey, you can talk about this. The Solomon Island dragon snake is a flying, fire-spitting dragon-like cryptid from the Solomon Islands. Reported as hostile towards humans, there are frequent sightings of these creatures, which means that it is a living creature, not a myth. The dragon snake patrolled both the coastal areas and the mountainous interior of the Solomon Islands. The creature was responsible for people going missing and killing people. They are described as having nocturnal behaviour and only seen in the form of light or silhouette. The body is shaped like a man's, but the overall silhouette looks like a stingray. There is a shape at the end of the tail, most likely shaped like a diamond or a triangle. They are white or black in colour, with greenish-brown scaly skin and piercing red eyes. They have the ability to make glowing light or bioluminescence from the body, red in colour, which they use for fishing on the coast, because light attracts the fish and other sea creatures, obviously. They are also reported as having the ability to spit fire in the form of a light which scorches and burns upon impact. The size of the body light itself is about 60 feet in diameter, and the wingspan might be larger or the same size as that. Holy moly. The earliest sightings apparently are recorded as early as 1593. And one part of the atlas depicts two flying creatures with bat-like wings and a long tail with flukes. One creature is shown as having two pelvic fins, which may actually be meant to be its feet. The other creature has dermal frills similar to the rope, and both creatures have long beak or snout. Modern-day sightings by Westerners occurred in the 20th century. A native had been fishing in his 19-foot fiberglass boat at 3 a.m. He saw a dragon snake flying nearby, and in his foolishness, he flashed his torch at the creature. It flew over to him in an instant and hovered overhead. Panicking, he started the motor and took off to get away from the dragon snake, but it followed him as he zigzagged his way back to shore. It was during this short pursuit to the beach that it fired some form of light at him, but it only partially hit him. A later inspection of his boat showed traces of scorching on some of the boat's interior paint, and he said that when he drove his boat up the beach and ran into the bush, the dragon snake followed him to where he was hiding behind a tree and hovered above. When he moved around to the other side of the tree, it also went round to the other side. It was then that he literally got down on his knees and began to pray to God with his hands clasped in front of him. The dragon snake moved on after that. He stumbled his way back to his village and was taken to the hospital. Ooh. I don't think I'll be going to the Solomon Islands and go fishing at 3 o'clock in the morning. I think I might stay clear of them. Not a nice place to go, is it? But you have something you would like to talk about, Josh.
I mean, interesting. Pretty cool to see a dragon. Should I talk a little bit about him, that guy? Or?
Yeah, go for it. I mean, it is quite an interesting. I mean, obviously, I've watched the TikTok videos that you sent me, and I'm
It is very interesting, though, that this all happened. This very he was saying this, and then within an hour of it happening, the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight got announced too. Kind of was very weird. You know what I mean? Kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you follow combat sports, you might have heard of Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is an intermediate lightweight champion since 2001. He's about 25 years old. He's pretty good, damn good boxer. Recently, he started making some wild claims. He said he was at Bohemian Grove, where he saw children tortured in front of him, where he was supposed to be abducted into the Illuminati, where he refused to join. Since then, he's been making it his mission to go to social media and advocate all the strangeness going on with the elite in Hollywood and trying to expose them. Even exposing fellow boxers such as Jake Paul, claiming that the company Prime that Jake runs is a complete devil-worshipping company that just is meant to poison our children. Let's see what else Ryan has said. He has reached out to Andrew Tate, who seemed to go in line with everything that he was saying, strangely enough. He also says when he was touring Italy, or I guess it's not Italy, it's Rome, that he went to the Vatican. He was crowded by fans, which were priests or whatever they're called in the Vatican, let him go into some of the back rooms and showed him various relics, including the Ark of the Covenant, and as well as the Chronoverse, I believe it's called, the machine that apparently allows you to see into the past, present, or future. He's made claims about aliens. He's pretty much dabbled into every conspiracy theory that you can right now. A lot of fellow boxers are worried about his mental state. A lot of them same people, though, that are saying that his mental state is deteriorating are the same people he's calling out as well that are involved in said groups.
Have you seen what he stated on the 16th, Saturday?
On the what?
On Saturday, he made a comment which has sort of increased that alarm quite a bit. Ryan Garcia's latest claim: he will give $1 million to every citizen when he becomes president of the United States.
No, I have not seen that one.
Apparently, he said this on Saturday. The boxer continues to send strange messages in his interactions with social media. Ryan Garcia had promised to stay away from social media and dedicate himself exclusively to rest and training for his April 20th fight against super lightweight champion Devin Haney. But this hiatus has been short-lived, as many doubt the mental health of King Rye, and he showed no sign of improvement with his latest post. In fact, the Californian refused a psychological evaluation by the New York State Athletic Commission, as WBC President Mauricio
He has
Suleiman.
also, his lawyers have intervened in that and are countersuing because it's the first
Yeah,
time ever in the history of American boxing where a mental state has been taken into account.
yeah,
So it looks like this
um,
fight will continue to happen. Which is
yeah.
interesting. I mean, hopefully isn't a Chris Benoit sort of situation. If you're
Yeah, I mean, he
familiar,
said, if I'm president, there'll be no more secrets with the people. Garcia said on Instagram Live, there will be no more classified files. So, like one of the TikToks that you showed me earlier on, where he did say that he was gonna release everything. He's determined that he wants the truth to be put out there. He's then quoted as saying, "They will know everything. Please help me to be president, and that God's work will be done, not mine."
that's the strange thing about this, though, is he really doesn't have. He has more to lose than to gain by doing any of this. But I
No, I
said
mean,
this could be another Chris Benoit situation. I mean, we've had this happen with former athletes, especially with combat sports, where we don't know how extent the brain injuries have occurred. He's a young guy too. He's only 25.
yeah, he was born in 1998, wasn't he? So,
Yeah.
um, but I mean, he'd already March the 13th. He alluded to what could be one of his tactics in the fight against the Dream, which is scheduled for April 20th. I could bite Haney's ears, Garcia posted on X.com, formerly Twitter. Mike Tyson bit one ear. I'm going to bite both. I'm hungry. So, to be honest, I could understand why people might turn around and say and question Ryan Garcia's health, mental health, because most boxers they'll have a bit of banter with each other. They'll do their little press
Right.
conferences and square up and go, yeah, all right. But he
But
seems to have
not saying
taken a
that I
bit of
do
the
believe him,
WWE in with him.
but this is also what was that guy's name? The one that called out Seth Green when he called him out and all of them other executives, they said he was crazy. And then he was just unalived a couple hours later.
Yeah. And Ryan already has stated, doesn't he, that he thinks he's being cloned.
Yeah, essentially that one
So
as well.
that wouldn't be surprising if somewhere, they're trying to get him out of the way. Does seem a bit.
I honestly, if I was in his position, I would have went and got a CT scan just to be like, see, I told you all, my brain's fine.
But yeah. I can see
then
that
again, too,
actually.
there's a lot of money to be made with this fight, with all boxing. I do know that too. I believe that's one of the commission rules is that you have to have a CT scan before each fight. So I mean, we will see.
I think that's probably to confirm there isn't any swelling on the brain or anything beforehand,
Right.
isn't it?
Like I said,
Um,
are you familiar with Chris Benoit, who he was?
I do know the name. Was he a WWE or something?
Yes. He is the one that went on YouTube and unalived his entire family because of that brain injury where they afterwards when they examined his brain there was like Swiss cheese.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. There's a couple football players like that who actually had a pretty violent end in the same situation with them where the Swiss cheese of the brain so many impacts.
Full of holes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can understand the importance of having something like a CT scan done before a fight, and then after as well, because obviously you could have a bleed on the brain or something from the fight itself. That could cause some serious issues. I mean, you look at some of the boxers, the longer they're fighting for, you can see it when in their speech starts to slur. The more and more they fight.
Muhammad Ali was like that in the end completely. I mean, I don't even think he could talk in his final days.
Well, Frank Bruno. I mean, his speech towards the end of his boxing career, he had a very slurred speech, but in compared to when he first started boxing, you know, he had quite a good vocal range. So it's a case of, you know, you got to take care of that boxer. At the end of the day, he's an athlete.
Right.
And if he only lasts one match and then he has to retire because of brain damage, then he's no good to anybody, is he? You know, and especially to himself. He's not gonna earn any prize money by only doing one fight. His career's technically over. What's he going to do next? So he needs to protect himself at the same time.
With UFC being semi newer and us bringing back bare knuckle boxing, I don't know if it's still how long it's been a thing in England, but we recently just brought it back to the US. I'm sure we'll see in the future how traumatic some of these brain injuries can be.
Over here, I think bare knuckle boxing's sort of one of these black market, sort of undercover, sort of private.
We literally have a
arranged
league now.
Blimey. I know I have seen on TikTok some of these ones where they've, I can't remember what they call it now. Is it something beef?
Street beef?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that is not it. I mean, this is a
they
completely
just set up a makeshift
match.
boxing ring in the street or something. They're standing there beating
that's just it's just a little underground thing that some people do. What I'm talking about is completely commissioned. It's a lot of retired UFC fighters are doing it, and yeah, it's bare knuckle boxing. You see, there's even a women's league now. Yeah, look at some of the videos. It's wild. They'll come out missing teeth and it's bloody and just the matches don't go long. I mean, a big part of it I know too is just in boxing, you wrap your hands because it just damages your hands as well.
I mean, I used to do karate and kung fu, and I'm like, do you know what? I can't be doing this no more. Broke my nose too many times. I'm like, no, that's it. I've had enough.
But yeah, I can't say I've ever did bare knuckle.
No, I mean, obviously, over here we spend too much time sort of mollycoddling people, wrapping them up in cotton wool and bubble wrap, and saying, oh no, you can't do this, you can't do that. So everything was all involved. You had to have pads on your hands, feet, and just about everywhere else. And you know,
yet again, too. I mean, I say I probably wouldn't do that, but if you gave me enough $1 million and I had it, you know, like 3-4 minute rounds, all right.
Yeah,
I can get my teeth fixed.
I'd quite happy take a hit for £1 million. I'll go down in the first round if you like.
Right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think I couldn't have the temper for it now. I know when I did a karate competition one year, I must have been about 12 or 13, and this lad punched me in the nose, and my nose just went, and we got to the side of the mats. They looked at it, they stopped the blood and everything else. They went, you know, do you want to carry on? I said, well, is it bleeding? He went, no. I said, well, I want to carry on, and I wanted revenge. So I did. I went straight back on the mat. The bloke started the fight. I just walked up to the kid and went straight back. I got disqualified. He intentionally punched me in the nose, so I intentionally punched him in the nose, and I was the one that got disqualified. So I thought, oh well. But no, it is bizarre. But I just think this Ryan guy, when I saw the videos, I just thought to myself, I'm a bit, I don't know, some of it, I don't know why, but a lot of it reminded me of sort of this internet and social media preaching.
Yeah, he lays the religion on pretty thick with all of this too. That's my thing with him.
And that's, I mean, I'm you know, I'm not a religious person, but I'm not against anybody that does believe in God or any other religion. But when I see it that on social media or to your front door, you know, with Jehovah's Witnesses or anything like that, and they literally throwing it at you, then I have to sort of stand my ground and say, look, I'm sorry, but nah, you don't do that with me. And he sort of flags up that sort of feeling when he does some of his posts.
For instance, Jake Paul's manager reached out to him on a personal level because, you know, the small boxing community is a small knit community, and he's like, look, man, you okay? Do you really need somebody to help you? He put out all of his personal information and was like, this guy is an FBI handler. So, I mean, he's doing tactics like that, Ryan. So he's like, I saw Jake Paul's manager put out a video earlier today. He's like, yeah, I spent the last 48 hours telling people that I am not part of the Illuminati. I am not part of the CIA. I am just a boxing manager. Because Ryan Garcia decided to tell everybody that I am a handler.
But I mean, didn't he also have? He's got a thing against Prime, hasn't he?
Well, Jake Paul owns Prime.
Yeah,
that's the big thing too. He's saying that Prime is
outright
to poison our children. I mean, South Park pretty much said exactly the same thing too. I mean, I've tried it. I mean, it tastes like shit. I'm not gonna lie, it tastes like sugar shit, buttery shit. I am not a fan.
I mean, I've never tried it. My daughter has. My oldest daughter, Chloe, she's tried it and she loves it. I won't buy it.
That's the whole thing too with this whole Jake Paul is he is somebody of the YouTube community who's trying to force their way into the boxing community. I honestly think this is how this fight with Mike Tyson has started, was that Tyson got sick of him acting like he's king shit of the boxing world, and Tyson was like, oh. I know in their interview, their podcast together, Jake Paul was sitting next to Mike Tyson. He's like, I did this and this and this for the boxing community. And Tyson was like, no, it don't work that way, little boy. The boxing community does stuff for you. This is how it worked for me. They did stuff for me. They made me a better person. Not I made the boxing community better. I'll show you what a real boxer is. And then it kind of escalated.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's the thing is there's a difference between, and there will be a difference between Prime in the States and Prime here, because we're not allowed to have certain additives. Our Food Standards Agency bans.
I don't honestly think it has to do even with the ingredients. It's the way Prime is
promoted.
Exactly. It's for the younger generation. We don't care about Prime because there's no trend. We're past that.
I mean, I thought Prime was originally brought out for the likes of athletes. I mean, over here we have something called Lucozade Sport, and that was designed for the likes of Olympic athletes, footballers, and the likes.
There's two versions here in America. There's a Gatorade like type, and then there's the energy drink. And the energy drink is the popular one. There's all different types you could get. And
I mean, we had normal Lucozade. Now, Lucozade over here, if you visited anybody in hospital at one point, there would be bottles of Lucozade everywhere. You go and visit your granny that's just had a hip replacement, and she'd be sitting there in the bed, and right next to her on the bedside would be a bunch of grapes and a bottle of Lucozade. And it was this bright orange stuff. And now over the years, they've come out with different flavors, and they've got Isotonic Sport now to, drinks to replace your electrolytes after you've been out doing a marathon and stuff like that. And originally, that's what I thought Prime was brought out for, was sort of like a competitor to that drink. Only it seems to be, no, it's not. It's because it's now targeting, it's always the kids that are buying it. The kids are fighting over it in the stores. And now the stores are like, oh, we can't get it. We can't get it. And then the price starts going up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, why? Just drink a glass of water. That's going to be better for you than that stuff.
South Park actually has a episode out, I guess, mini movie completely making fun of Prime. I don't know if you follow them at all. They're hilarious.
I used to watch South Park quite a lot, but I got a bit fed up with it after a while. Same as The Simpsons, really.
Yeah.
I could only handle it for so long, and then that was it. I had to draw the line. So, yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I think with this Garcia, there's definitely something not right there. I don't know whether it's because what he's trying to do is sort of try and promote his name more, regardless of how he's doing it. He's getting his name out there a lot more than what he would have done if he just went out there and did
Oh,
boxing.
honestly, this whole thing. I honestly think he's trying to get into the boxing league. He's been trying to get in the UFC constantly, and every
Right.
UFC fighter is like, "No, it doesn't work this way. It doesn't matter how many views you get. It doesn't matter how many people you say that you want us to fight you. You have to go and get a fighting license. You have to do your part. You have to
Yeah.
be an amateur first. You can't just be a champion. You have to do the work, and that's honestly what I think this is. There's a lot of other people doing the same here in the States too.
Sounds like a good idea, actually.
Pro fighters without pro training.
Could have the Dark Mirror UFC. Go on in. Yeah, I mean, if he wants to get into these things, I mean, I don't know.
It's working though. This is the sad part. It's working. He's got the fight with Tyson. His brother is a wrestler now, a pro wrestler. But pro wrestling is
Tyson's going to eat him for breakfast.
What's that?
Tyson, he's going to eat him for breakfast.
Oh, almost definitely. I keep seeing. Videos
Tyson
from former opponents of Tyson
an old man
telling Jake, he's like, "Hey, this is an exhibition match. Throw your jabs, do your ducks, but as soon as you throw a haymaker, you're done." Yeah. The best thing I saw today, I can't believe Jake Paul openly said this on camera, is he goes, "So yeah, I was talking to my mom and dad over the weekend, and I told my mom about the Tyson fight, and she looked me dead in the eyes and hugged me and said, 'Oh, sweetie, you're gonna get knocked out this time.'" And it was like your own mother. Your own mother is telling you this, dude.
I mean, Tyson may be old, but all it's going to take is one punch from him.
I absolutely agree. If you have seen some of the training videos, a couple months ago, Tyson was crying, literally in an interview, and he's like, "I'm happy where I'm at. I have my pigeons. I like being Mike. I don't like being Tyson. Tyson's a mean motherfucker who hurts people. I don't like being that guy." And they snapped him back into that guy. I think Tyson's been waiting for somebody to do this for many, many years, and Jake doesn't know the landmine he stepped on.
Yeah. I think that's going to be he's going to get in that ring, and he's going to start. The alarm bells are going to start ringing. And then as soon as that bell goes to start the fight, he's going to want to get out.
Yeah. This might end that whole, I want to be a pro fighter. He might be going back to Disney.
See Tyson come steaming over, and you'd be like, yeah, maybe not.
If Tyson doesn't wreck his face enough for that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But then there's good old plastic surgery.
Right.
Could do a bit of, facial reconstruction.
They didn't call him Iron Mike for nothing, though. I mean.
Oh, dear. But, yeah.
It is very interesting, though. Nothing like this has ever happened before. And it's UFC is completely, Dana White's not touching it, that this is going to be on Netflix and it's not going to be a pay-per-view. It's very strange to me to begin with.
Well, yeah, I mean, you would have thought that having it as pay-per-view would have made more money.
Right.
You look at all of these pay-per-view events, even with the WWE, you know, when you got WrestleMania.
We recently just had a fight like this too with Francis, if you follow that. The guy that Mike Tyson was training, he was a former UFC fighter who went into the boxing, and he actually fought Tyson Fury.
I mean, it's, you know, there's got to be something there that says, you know, where's the money coming from? I mean, obviously you're going to have sponsors, but the pay-per-view event will have the sponsors, but it will be a pay-per-view event. So anybody around the world can watch it. They have to pay for it. And they get a cut of what they've made from those sales of the viewing. So they would have made more money from doing that. So it seems a bit, like you say, it's strange that they're not doing it that way.
Another thing strange too is usually when Tyson has done these matches in the past, it's been a charitable match. I haven't heard anything about that yet.
Right. Yes. It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it?
It'll be interesting, and
I'll just be interested to see what happens with Garcia. I think I might have to sort of keep an eye on his progress and see what happens.
I hope this doesn't turn into a sad outcome, to be honest. I know his ex-wife has been begging for him to get help. His mother said this isn't even out of the ordinary for him. Then he's like, all these people are against me. Like, we'll see. I mean, kind of reminds me almost of the franticness of how Michael Jackson used to act when he would talk about weird shit like this.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is as well is that his mum and his ex-wife, if anybody's going to know him, they're the ones that are going to know him better than anybody else. You know, his own family and his ex-wife, they would know him sort of on a more personal level. You know, you'll get people that know him on a professional level, but the people that know him on a personal level will see the real him.
The thing that bugged me the most, though, did you listen to the one with him talking to Andrew Tate?
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew's just like, shut up. Shut up. You're going to get us arrested. You're going to get my door kicked down. So, like,
yeah.
There's real reason why Andrew Tate's all like, well, you're kicking beehives. You need to stop.
I've got some
Call
people
somebody else to talk about this. They've already arrested me for this shit.
On that interview, didn't you notice his speech was wrong? The way he was talking didn't sound like all the other videos that we watched. Did not sound it sounded like him, but the way his words were coming out, it sounded like he was either drunk or he'd been punched in the mouth a couple of times. He just didn't sound right.
Right. Being a 25-year-old champion could have been the latter. Could have been
25-year-old, but he sounded like in that particular video, he sounded like a 75-year-old. He didn't sound right. And I also noticed another thing on some of the videos. He mentioned about a twitch. He has a tick where he does that. Or he does something with his nose and his eyes. He says, I do that regularly. I've done that as a child, and I always do that. That's a tick. But then when you look at a couple of the other videos, he doesn't do it at all.
I've actually called him out about some of his tattoos on his lives, and he shut off my comments. That's what kind of got me into like, okay, dude, what's up? What's up? And then he made a video after I called him out about it, and he's like, it's because I like angels. It's why I have a eye on my wrist or on my hand with a snake going around it. I was like, what? What the does that have to do with it?
Yeah, that's a bit
odd.
Yeah, I do think he has probably got some issues there that I think need to be addressed. And I think he is going to go down a very weird and strange, slippery path to oblivion if he's not careful.
It'd be interesting to know if he wins his next fight. I mean, if there is something actually to this and we're wrong, it's not a head injury. I would imagine it going would be he'd get annihilated in the next fight and just kind of disappear into, you know, the backboard.
Well, it could be that, or he could do what some of these WWE wrestlers do. They disappear for a while, and then 2-3 years later, they pop back and go, "Hello, I'm back." You know, how many times has Hulk Hogan come back?
Right.
You know, what's his pensions run out, so he's decided to come back to the WWE for a season or two, and then disappears again. The Undertaker did the same thing. You know,
Honestly, they all have. I mean, The Rock is doing that too. I mean, the WWE is under fire themselves for quite some horrible things, which makes you almost believe there's some reality to the situation. Vince McMahon has been fired and completely wiped for sex trafficking. Brock Lesnar was involved. He has also been fired completely from UFC involvement.
I saw a thing about Brock Lesnar the other day with is it Rey Mysterio?
I didn't hear anything about Rey Mysterio.
I don't know how old it was. He had a dig at Rey Mysterio or something in the ring, and he'd done something to him, and Rey Mysterio's laying in the ring going, "Oh, I'm in agony, agony." I'm like, "Yeah, right, okay, whatever." All he did was spin you around in the air and let you drop onto the canvas. But then he goes after Rey Mysterio's son. And the commentators going, "Sit down, sit down, sit down." And the boy's like, eventually sits down. And then Brock Lesnar goes up to him, picks him up, pulls him over the barrier, puts him through the commentator's table, which very conveniently just collapsed, as it does. And then he did a backbreaker against one of the corner posts.
That's what I mean. I mean, some of that is that just semantics, though. You know, with WWE.
I used to
What
like.
I'm talking about, I mean, is like there's cases you can look into it. Dana White is literally was like he's done. There's no more Brock Lesnar and UFC anymore.
Right.
And
So he's got back to
coming up too.
WWE instead.
From what I understand is that they were using female wrestlers and getting other wrestlers to come back for like sexual trades, and they were told if they weren't going to get fights, if they didn't do that, and that's
right.
like there was a whole like sex trade going on, and that Vince McMahon was behind it, his daughter was behind it. Brock Lesnar is one of the ones that was caught.
Oh.
With emails and on camera. Apparently, he had a urine collection, which police found. And
oops.
Yeah, it's sad, kind of sad too, because it's his daughter was starting to like gain fame, and she's like a high school senior, and
and mud's gonna stick.
No one's gonna sign you when your dad's that guy.
No. Oh, you're Brock Lesnar's daughter, aren't you? Yeah, maybe not. Right. See ya.
She looks just like him too, creepily.
Oh God.
Same build.
So, are you gonna give me a job then? Oh. Yeah, no thanks. I'm not good enough to be a model. Oh God. No, I used to enjoy watching. British boxing was all right. British wrestling was all right, but then you could see how that was staged, and they all got on behind the scenes and all that. And then you see WWE, and to start off with, it was all right. It was good entertainment, and then you just think, yeah, right, okay, this is getting boring now. Same old stuff.
I love the UFC. I think it's one of the untouched ones, but it was nothing like it was like when I was a kid, when it was like karate against Muay Thai against sumo. Yep. That was the greatest.
I think when they introduced new rules and more rules, that's when it ruins it.
Well, we didn't have a choice. They were going to ban it. They're calling the congressmen were calling them UFC fighters human cockfighters. That was like how Joe Rogan became famous, because he was like the one and only celebrity. It was like, no, this is a martial art. These guys are actually athletic.
And the thing is, as well, is that that's what it makes UFC more interesting. Is if you've got, say, like, Thai boxing against Shaolin Kung Fu, it's settled, or sort of goes on the way to settling the question, which martial art is the best.
Unfortunately, I think when they started introducing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's what changed everything, and then everything started becoming mixed martial arts.
Yeah. But I think it's nice. I think it is nice to see someone that stands there and says, right, he's karate, he's kung fu. Go on, slug it out.
Well, that was the weirdest thing too back in the 90s, was that there was this new form of martial art nobody heard of, and he was winning. He wasn't hurting anybody, but he was still beating the shit out of these dudes, but he wasn't hurting them.
Nice. That's the way to do it. Win a fight without hurting anybody.
Because it was all pressure points and chokeouts. And...
Yeah. That's the way to do it. Choke them. So, anyway.
We got way off.
I've got an article that I dug out. It's quite interesting. 5 strange occurrences around the world. Ooh. So, despite the numerous contributions made by modern scientists to our understanding of the world and everything in it, there are still many things we don't know or aren't certain about. While other events are more sensible from our perspective, they are so infrequent that when they do occur, they appear out of the world. Now, despite numerous contributions made by the scientists, there are still things we know nothing about. And number 1 is a blooming Sahara Desert. A blooming desert is truly an amazing sight to see. A simple thing like a freak storm can kickstart plants and flowers blooming in places that would otherwise seem completely devoid of life. Nevertheless, this phenomenon, though beautiful, is only temporary, and soon enough the landscapes will inevitably turn desolate once again. The Sahara Desert, for instance, has seen 3 major periods in which sand dunes turned into lush savanna grasslands over the last 120,000 years. So over our last 120,000 years, the Sahara has gone from being a sand dune desert to green fields. Ooh. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
Definitely weird. I mean, I think our whole understanding on plants is completely off to begin with. I mean, now we're talking about some plants have like intelligence behind them. I don't know if you heard anything about that. Which is hilarious because don't tell the vegans.
Yeah, I mean, oddly enough, I've been saying this for donkey's years that, when the vegan teacher was about and she was on TikTok hurling abuse at people like Gordon Ramsay because he was cooking a bacon sandwich or frying a steak. And I just kept turning around to myself and saying, hang on a minute, aren't plants living things? I was always told by my granddad, talk to your plants, that'll help them grow.
Yeah.
So hang on a minute, but if a plant's not a living thing, hasn't got ears, how's it going to hear me? And I'm not having a conversation with a plant if it can't talk back to me. But the talking back is more how that plant grows. And if you talking to it allows it to grow better, then obviously that's its reply. But we know there is fact that plants do have feelings. They can react to being hurt or injured. They just don't react to being hurt or injured the same way we do, which is no different to a different species being hurt. You hurt a cat, it meows. You hurt a dog, it whimpers. You hurt a bird, it chirps and squawks. Each animal reacts in a different way to that same stimuli. So why would plants be any different? They breathe, they reproduce. So surely there must be a living thing. So I would go to agreeing with these scientists that, yeah, Plants are more a living being than we first originally thought. And like you say, there's so much we don't know that we're still yet to discover. But I think in the next 100 years, there's going to be so many shocking things get discovered that it's going to make people sit back and go, oh my God. And I'm not talking about aliens.
Absolutely agree. I mean, I think the future will be drastically different with the knowing of plants. I think a lot of information has been suppressed.
Yeah, again, there's something not right there, isn't there? You know, you got things that are there, but they don't want you knowing, simply because if it did, it would cause too much aggro. I mean, can you imagine, you know, if they point blank come out with there is aliens, there are UFOs,
or
and they
even
gave
plants.
you all of the details.
Or, well, like we're just talking about, just plants. I honestly, truly believe there is probably a plant for every illness. And look how big of a billion-dollar corporation that would just disrupt, be gone overnight.
Yep. I mean, I was talking to someone yesterday, and we were talking about dandelions, and you know, I was always told as a child, do not touch a dandelion. Dandelions are bad for you. The milk of it's poisonous. You smell the flower. You'll wet the bed at night. Things like that.
Really?
We were told as children to keep away from dandelions. And then I'm like, hang on a minute. There is a drink called dandelion and burdock, which are traditionally made with dandelions, and it tastes very similar to root beer. And I'm like, hang on a minute. If we're told to stay away from dandelions, why are we drinking dandelion and burdock? Then it dawned on me, hang on a minute, there's a company we have over here called Roundup. And Roundup is a weed killer. And on their bottle, it's got this sort of like a cartoon animated version of a dandelion. And on the adverts that they do, they spray in it on a dandelion and killing it. Turns out that the company that owns that weed killer is one of the leading pharmaceutical companies that make heart medication. So they're deliberately sort of forcing you into buying the weed killer to kill the exact same thing that is good for your heart. So they make more money by you buying their medications. You know, you can cure a lot of heart illnesses with dandelions, and they don't want you to use them. And you can walk out into your back garden, pick up a dandelion and make a dandelion tea with it and help any ailments that you've got. And they don't want you doing it. It's a bit strange.
Coming from a capitalist country and how crazy that gets even further.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, I do feel for you guys over there, because you've got to have insurance for everything, haven't you? And your medication and your health care. And it's slowly starting to head this way, because our NHS is going downhill. It needs serious overhaul to actually get it to where it needs to be. But we are now being given the choice. If we don't want to use our NHS service, we can go private. And that's when it costs us. And that's when they turn around and say, like with you guys, if you have private medical insurance, then go to private hospital, get the work done, and claim it on your insurance. You won't pay as much because the insurance would cover it. But if you go with the NHS, you've got long waiting lists. It can be weeks before you get to see a doctor. I'm fairly lucky down where I am. I can phone up my doctors and get an appointment the same day. But I know of a lot of people in a lot of places where they phone a doctor and they can't get an appointment for about 6 or 7 days or even longer.
Oh, it's the same here. It's even worse. I mean, my whole stuff with my surgery has been just a big nightmare. The bureaucracy of it, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I keep joking too. I'm like, I'm just gonna go to Mexico and get it done for a third of the price.
We do. I mean, there are people over here. There's one guy on TikTok. He's called Bevo, and he had some issue with his teeth. And on TikTok, everybody was moaning about him because he would always do these little videos. Tonight, I'm going to be reviewing a chicken curry and rice. And he would put a fork. He's got his massive front teeth. His teeth are huge. And he'd pick up a fork full of food and put it in his mouth, and he'd swallow it straight away. He wouldn't even chew it. And everybody kept saying, there's got to be something wrong with your teeth. And he ended up going to Turkey to have his teeth done. And a lot of people here now are going over to places like Turkey or Thailand and having their dentist work done there because it's so much cheaper than getting it done here.
Japan's using stem cells to regrow teeth right now.
Apparently, I'm quite happy to let all mine fall out.
Redoing their dental.
Yeah. I'm quite happy to let mine fall out and have false ones.
Honestly, the way they advertise it too is just come with your baby teeth. They add some stem cells and they regrow your teeth. It's less painful than getting bridges in, apparently.
Yeah, which is a problem if you haven't got any baby teeth left.
Right. I don't know if there's another alternative that they can use that's more expensive,
but again, it's stem cell research.
A lot of us, at least in 80s and 90s babies, our parents kept our teeth for whatever reason.
Well, I'm a 70s baby, and my mum never kept any of my teeth. I know I freaked out when I found a little earring box, and it had a lock of my hair in it. And I turned around to my mum and said, "What the hell is this?" And she went, "Oh, that's a lock of your hair." I went, "Bin it." Throw it out. I don't want to see that. Get away. Said, "No, I don't want it." No, you got to throw it away. I'm sorry. That's just creepy. I remember an ex-girlfriend of mine. She had when she was at school, she had a pony. Her hair literally grew down to the back of her knees, and she had it done in a French plait. And one moment in time, she decided she was going to have short hair for once. So she cut the ponytail off with the French plait, and she kept it. And the very first time I went back to her house, she got this French plait hair out of the drawer. She went, "That's how long my hair used to be." She held it up.
It's actually a thing here. God, no. We have a program called Locks of Love. I don't know if you're familiar with it, if you guys have something similar. But if women want to do that, they can donate their hair and it gets turned into a wig for cancer patients.
Yeah, I mean that's that. I mean, if
that's cool, but it's like keeping it and being like, "Oh, I'm just gonna take this out of my closets because I miss having long hair." That's been weird.
yeah, that was all she did. She had it in a drawer, and I thought it was a snake to start off with. She took it out and she went, "Look at this." And I went, "Oh my God, what's that?" She went, "That's how long my hair got." And I'm like, "Jesus H." And it was literally like 5 foot long. It was huge.
Wow.
I mean, she was 6.5 foot tall. Yeah, about that, 6.5 foot tall. All her family are quite tall people, and her hair, for some unknown reason, grew right down to the back of her knees. And I'm just like, "Yeah, just put it back in the drawer." I'm like, "No, you're all right." But no, it's yeah, I think we've got some really strange. I mean, with stem cell research, I can understand some concerns. How far do you take it? Because it's like growing ears on the back of mice. You know, I mean, a mouse is a completely different breed to a human. So how would, if you grew an ear on a mouse's back, and then you took that ear off and transplanted it to a human, you've got to then have medication to stop your body from rejecting it, because they're completely different cells. How are you able to allow human cells to grow on the back of a mouse?
Right.
We
also have this other program called it's like necroscience, where we're taking dead insects and basically turning them into machines. I know we're doing it with spiders, so we can make Kevlar better. I mean, there's the whole. Is this right?
Yeah. No, I can understand that. I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's almost like Jurassic Park, isn't it?
All right,
Getting
and
a
this is the stuff
mosquito
we're
that's been
openly
preserved.
admitting to doing. You know, there's always stuff going on behind closed doors. So
until these things escape. And then it's a different case altogether.
right.
We've been experimenting.
Then it's just denial. Then it's just denial with my country always. You know, that happens. Be like, it's the Houthis. It was Israel. It was the Russians. We don't do anything.
Yeah, we don't do nothing like that. But yeah. Anyway, what have we got
Actually,
here?
one of my best Rick and Morty lines is, have you ever seen that show and they're doing with the lightsabers and France gets messed up because of the lightsabers? He's like, it's the Polynesians the Polynesians could have done it. It is the Polynesians. Damn the Polynesians! Even though it was U.S., it just did it. The president saying that. I don't know if that's how it really works in my country.
I've heard of Rick and Morty, but I've never watched it. I'm a bit sad like that. I don't tend to watch hardly any normal TV anymore.
I can't blame you.
I just tend to wait for movies to come out and then I'll watch them. I'll watch them on my phone, or I'll go to the cinema or whatever and watch a movie. I'm not really, you know, the only normal TV show I watch on normal TV is Doctor Who, because I grew up with Doctor Who and I really love the storylines for that. So I'll always watch Doctor Who. But in general, you know, if I don't really watch much, and I'm watching one on Netflix at the moment called The Travellers, and that has intrigued me. I find that quite interesting, about where people from the future have been brought back, but they take over people's bodies, the bodies of people that are going to die. So at the moment when that person's going to die, this time traveler comes into their body and they've got a mission. And to start off with, they've got to avoid this meteorite hitting Earth. So they're going off on these little separate missions to stop this meteorite hitting Earth. And I'm about halfway through the second series at the moment. It's really, really good, because now it turns out there's two factions in the future and they're all fighting each other. And they keep sending people back in time to stop this AI from being invented. So it's a bit like Terminator, really.
I was just going to say that.
But instead of robots coming back, they're actual, it's the consciousness of these people in the future coming back and taking over the bodies of these people in this time. It's quite good. But it's a bit, sometimes it can get a bit too much, because you sit there thinking, yeah, is this really sort of, you know, can you do that? And they're saying, oh no.
I haven't been honestly watching anything in a while. I've been really addicted to a game, which usually doesn't happen to me. It's called Helldivers 2. I don't know if you've seen anything about it. It's really, really popular. It's ever changing. There's like a game master in D&D, which is crazy. We haven't done anything like this, but it's all online. But the cool thing about it is everybody's on the same side. We have like AI problems. It's like Starship Troopers and Terminator in one. So like there's these different factions of planets that you have to protect. But instead of being like Halo, where you're this badass like Master Chief, we're all just these weakened warrior guys in armor with machine guns fighting giant bugs and giant robots. It's just funny. But it's like you call in like these orbital strikes and stuff, so it's like sci-fi Vietnam. And there's just all this like whole culture behind it too on TikTok. You'll have to check it out. I've been trying to get Mark to jump on it for like a month now.
To be honest, I don't really. The only games I play tend to be on my mobile phone, because I do I play one called Misplay. And basically, you download the game on your phone and you play the game and you get paid for playing it. You get given a certain amount of, you say, for instance, you get to level 15, you get given 100 gems. But then when you've got so many gems, you trade it in for things like Amazon vouchers.
That's cool.
And so far, I think I'm about 1,000. I think I'm about 1,000 gems away from getting a £100 voucher for Amazon. And we've brought all our kitchen equipment have come from playing this game.
Wow!
And you literally just go into the app, download certain games, because certain games will have boosts on them. So you can end up getting 5 times as many gems for each level that you complete. So every time you level up, you get so many gems. And they'll have this boost last for, say, 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks, you sit there playing it like crazy so you can build all this stuff up. And we've had things like our kettle, our toaster, our bread bin, coffee pots and sugar pots and things like that. A collection of knives. I've got all of them through playing this game.
That's amazing.
So I don't have to buy anything in my kitchen because I just play away. But I've got my PS5. I've had it over a year and I've played it once.
Check out Helldivers.
That was when I first
for democracy.
I first got the PS5 back in November 22. Yeah, and I have only played it once, and I had Gods of War, and I played it the once, and I haven't played it since. The one I want to play is the Hell Let Loose. And that's one of these online World War II games. I love World War II.
I'm familiar.
I love World War II, so playing games like Call of Duty, World at War, and things like that, I absolutely love. And when I saw it on TikTok, Hell Let Loose, I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. I've got to get that. So I went and brought it, and I brought that 3 months ago, and I haven't even unwrapped it. It's still sitting in its wrapper. I'm like, I'm really bad. I buy this game to play it, and I haven't touched it.
I got a couple of games like that on my PS4. I just never even opened. Now it's like, I don't even want to download you. Or
I think it's because I'm doing so many other things now that doing that just completely goes past my mind, and I just don't think of it. You know, if it's not for the kids, I'm doing things like this, or I'm writing, or I'm doing some research for an investigation or something, and I never get the chance to play. So it's just sitting in the box under the stairs at the moment. I keep saying to myself, I'm going to get out one day and I'm going to have a couple of hours playing. But no.
If you ever get the chance, check out Helldivers too. It's definitely a very charming community. It's the best online community I've ever been a part of.
I think
because there's no PvP in this game.
Yeah. To be honest, the games I prefer are, I used to love Command and Conquer. Did you ever play that?
Yes.
I used to love that, and I brought every single game for the PC. And I had all the ones like Red Alert, is it Tiberian Wars, and all of those ones. I brought the whole collection, and then I stopped using the PC altogether. So I'm like, whoops, I think I've made a boo-boo there. I haven't got a PC anymore. So eventually I want to get a gaming PC so that I can play those games again, because I absolutely love them. Now, when it comes to the console, if it's not Call of Duty, World at War, I play Minecraft. And I just literally, I don't play any of the online worlds. I just build my own little world with no monsters or anything in it, and I just build stuff. I'm just happy sitting there for hours on end, like building a bloody great big castle with tunnels going from one mountain to another and big swimming pools and stuff. I built a D-Day beach. So I literally had this beachfront, and I had all these German bunkers up on the hillside, tank traps. I built a submarine pen. It was all sorts. And my son's like, I like that, Dad. Can I build some stuff on there as well? So what does he do? Builds an airport. And he builds these hangars And I went, bearing in mind, this is a World War II world on Minecraft. He builds a Spitfire. Brilliant. We're going somewhere. Then he builds a Wellington bomber. Yep, brilliant. That's World War II. Then he goes and builds an SR-71. I'm like, Ethan, that was after World War II? And he's like, yeah, but you like SR-71s. I said, yeah, I may like them, but they're not World War II. I'll change it. I come back, it turns it into a UFO. I'm like, what have you done? He said, well, you said you didn't want the SR-71. It's not World War II. I said, neither's that UFO. Anyway, I'll just have it. It's like a 13-year-old giving me back chat about World War II and UFOs. What a little sod.
Awesome.
But there we have it. Okay. We're pretty much coming to the end now, I think.
Yep.
I have one more thing. I've got something here called People Share 30 Strange Events They Witnessed That Still Have No Explanation. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bookmark it, because I think some of these are quite weird, but they're very short and sweet. So I thought I'll finish off with one of these strange occurrences. So if you got anything coming up, Josh, before I do that one to finish with.
No, I just follow Lost to the Rabbit Hole if you want to see any upcoming content.
It's Through the Rabbit Hole,
slowly,
isn't it?
but surely.
It's Through the Rabbit Hole on YouTube, isn't it?
Yep. Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Not just walk up
Tell
to
TikTok. Tell My Country Takes TikTok away.
Yeah. So that is a message to all you people out there. Don't just walk up to a rabbit hole and expect Josh to be in it. Okay. We're talking hypothetically. His show is called Through the Rabbit Hole. Just don't walk down to a field and look down a rabbit hole and expect Josh to be going, hello. Because
right, I'm not responsible if you end up in some strange universe.
The Mad Hatter's Tea Party.
You'll never make it out back. You'll end up lost.
Yeah. End up
playing
croquet. Could end up playing croquet with the Queen of Hearts. So I think we've got was it Monday? We have at some point, I think probably tomorrow night, Dan and Viv on Simply Spooky. Possibly on Wednesday as well. I'm not too sure because I don't know what their itinerary is. But on Thursday we have To the Grave and Back with myself, Lois, Nick Moulet, and Rosie. And then Friday is the Friday Frighteners on Simply Spooky and Things Network, I think. And then that's it. I don't think there's any shows on a Saturday and a Sunday. And then it's back to us again on the Monday. I will be doing a live feed. I was supposed to have been doing one last night, only my laptop decided it wanted to update itself. And it installed about 24 updates and wouldn't switch on when I needed it to until it installed all these updates. So I was going to be doing a tribute show, a tribute reading to Cliff Jones last night, and it went a bit pear-shaped. So next Sunday on Wayne Seaton Presents Spookinori at 10 o'clock GMT, I will be reading Cliff's entry into the Spookinori competition, which his wife Ellen has very nicely allowed me to read out live. So we'll be doing that on the Sunday. So to end up with, I'm going to read out this tale of oddities, some strange things, and these are written in the perspective of the person that witnessed it. So I'll be reading it as their statement. So, as a child visiting my grandmother's house, my mum's mum, don't know why they put that, my mum's mum. Well, obviously it wouldn't be somebody else's mum. Whenever I left the house, I'd wave next door to Ken, who was always sat in the bay window looking out at the sea. They lived right on the coast of the North Sea in Hartlepool, the UK. We'd never really talk, but just a little wave before I went to get into the car. One time, I'm leaving my gran's house. I'm in front of my mum, who stopped at the door to talk to my gran. Excuse me. So I head down the steps and towards the gate. I turn back and see Ken in the window. Big smile as usual, waving at me. I gave him a wave back. He stands up, gives me the thumbs up, and wanders towards the back of the room. My mum comes walking down the steps and asks, "Who are you waving at?" I replied, "Ken." To this day, I can remember my mum's face. She just went white, but didn't say anything to me. It was only a few weeks later when she plucked up the courage to tell me that Ken had died a few days prior to our visit to my gran's. I don't believe in ghosts, but I know I saw him. I can still picture his striped grey sweater with light stripes across it, him waving and getting up out of his chair. There was no one else in that house. He lived all by himself. Ooh. There you go. So I think I need to let Mark know. There we go. I've let Mark know. We got to talk now until he comes back, because he was active 18 minutes ago. So we hope Mark gets well soon and gets back to normal, because I hate hearing the sound of my own voice sometimes.
Right.
We might as well, while we're waiting for Mark, shall we have a Q&A? Anybody got any questions they want to ask us?
I can't see any of the comments, so.
Well, I've got a few comments in the chat. I mean, the last comment that came up, because we haven't got the ability to put them up on the screen, we had a Facebook user. They're growing new teeth in place with frequency now, and they're not entirely different. Cows have entire... Oh, there we go. Eric, when is Mark ever normal?
No.
None of us are normal. That's why we do what we do. It's better to be paranormal than normal.
Right.
Dear. I don't even know how many views we got.
Me either.
Oh, well, according to this, we got 4. Well, hey. But I think Mark's fallen asleep.
Mark.
Mark, where are you, Mark? Mark coming, Orson. Mark calling Orson.
Just make this one super long. Just leave it on until he comes back.
Well, we can either leave it on until he comes back, or we just stop. Don't know how we're supposed to do that, but I don't know. I think we may just end it.
All right.
It would just be a case of saying goodnight and just leaving the chat.
Sounds good. Is there any more questions on your end?
Oh, there's one coming in. One question on this side. Hang on. Let's have a look. Oh. Favorite show? Josh, what is your favorite show?
I'm honestly really ridiculous, and I love cartoons. So, like, and that'd be a hard one. I'm a big fan of anime. Supernatural would probably be my favorite paranormal show. Talk to me radio.
God, do you know what? It's difficult because, as I mentioned earlier on, I don't watch much TV. I tend to just watch movies, and then if I see, obviously, I'll spend a bit of time on TikTok, and TikTok is a wonderful place to look for TV shows and movies that are
Yeah.
either out now or coming out. And the one with I mentioned earlier, The Travelers. I saw a little clip of that on TikTok, and I thought, oh, I like the look at that. I'll see where I can find it. So I then go into the comments, and I look through the comments to see where, people say, oh, what's the name of the series? Where can I watch it? And 9 times out of 10, people are sort of can be complete idiots and go, yeah, watch your TV or look out the window, whatever. But there will be people come out with the honest answers, and they'll say, oh, you can watch it on Netflix. So I go straight over to Netflix. Right, Travelers, there it is. Right, I'll start watching it. And I've been binge watching it. I'm halfway through the second series, and I've only been watching it 2 days. So I've watched a season and a half of Travelers. And that's how I watch my TV. I can't be bothered with the mainstream telly. It's just nothing worth putting. It's nothing worth watching.
I haven't watched mainstream TV in years. I mean, I've had pretty much every app imaginable. I used to torrent a lot. I guess maybe I shouldn't even say that live, but that was like years ago. I got a couple of letters from Disney, and I was like, oh, yeah, I don't think I can meet you in court.
Yeah. I can remember there was one torrent site donkeys years ago called BearShare, and you used to go onto it and you used to put in whatever you wanted, and it would have all the file shares that you could get, and you'd be like, yeah. And in the end, I'm just like, do you know what? Nah, I'm not going down this road anymore. I mean, there's so many apps that you could use now that, you could if you wanted to, but I don't agree with fraud in the movie industry myself anyway. So I will always either go to the cinema and watch it if it's just come out, or I'll wait till it gets released on Amazon Prime or
who
Netflix.
cares now in my country? Disney owns everything.
Yeah. And we've got we got Disney TV as part of our TV package. Because we've got smart TV. So we've got like the Netflix, we've got Prime, we've got Disney Plus, we get Apple. So we can get all of those on there as part of our TV package, but we get them for the kids.
Yeah.
Because the kids do watch the TV, whereas we don't. So I just sit there on my phone. I'm quite happy watching a program on a piddly little screen than a 55-inch widescreen TV, But I haven't really got a favourite paranormal TV show.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, I used to love watching Most Haunted, as with a lot of people. But then when I started working alongside them and working with them, I just stopped. I stopped watching the show.
Yeah.
And I was more sort of hanging around to see what people's views were of that show after it had aired. I never really watched anything like the Ghost Adventurers or anything like that. I mean, I know Justin Spurrier, and I've never really. I'd rather watch the little documentaries that he gets involved with rather than Ghost Adventurers. And I was watching one the other day where they actually went to the Conjuring House. There was a load of experiments done at the Conjuring House, and Justin Spurrier was brought along as a specialist. And some of the stuff they were getting from there was phenomenal. But that was a documentary rather than like a TV series.
There was one that I used to really like when I was younger. God, it was like 20 years ago, but it was celebrities talking about their paranormal experiences. I don't know if you're familiar.
Oh, yeah. Oh, crumbs, we had something similar over here as well. Celebrity something.
It was on Travel Channel. Yeah. Some of them are pretty intense. I mean, some of them are like, wow, these people really had experience. And then, I mean, there's some that were like, eh.
Yeah,
I
and these
remember Meatloaf was one that was like really, really into paranormal.
Meatloaf. Did you say Meatloaf was into the
Yes.
paranormal? I was going to say, he's, yeah. if he could let us know that would be nice.
While he was still alive.
Yeah. I actually saw him singing at a race course over here in the UK, and I knew then he wasn't going to last much longer because it was after he'd had his throat operated on, and he was doing the gig, and he'd got the crowd and his backing singers to do most of the singing. He hardly sung at all, and I'm like, that's it. You're just literally a showman now. You're just there for show. Your voice isn't there anymore. It's not going to work. And then I think it was about 7 or 8 months after that he died or something. He just literally. I'm like, that's a shame. But yeah, I can't remember what it was.
I mean, Lemmy was the same way, where he was playing till the day he died. I guess in their mindset to go out rocking.
Oh, I can't remember what it was called now. I'm sure there's Celebrity Ghost Hunt.
Yeah. I honestly thought it was Celebrity Ghost Stories.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking. Celebrity Ghost Stories. It's on Disney Plus.
Oh, I'll have to see. I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah, it says on here, watch Celebrity Ghost Stories Classics full episodes on Disney Plus. And you can see season 1 on YouTube.
The Missing 411 would be another awesome documentary. I'd have to say I enjoyed all of them.
But yeah, I sort of I struggle because I like all sorts of films. I love my World War II films, and you know, if
big in the war films.
if I mean, I've been watching Masters of the Air. That's the one I have been watching without fail religiously, because the started off with Band of Brothers. Absolutely love that series. That's
you ever
probably
watched the Pacific?
Yeah, I watched the Pacific. I like the Pacific, but it's
the Marine take. That's really what it is. It's Band of Brothers for Marines.
I know the history of the battle in the Pacific, but for me, that one wasn't as interesting. It didn't grip me as much as the other one. I don't think
it had nearly as the budget as Band of Brothers did.
Yeah, either. I think with Band of Brothers, it was probably because they had actually got the surviving members of Easy Company actually on the screen at the beginning describing something that happened during that particular moment of the war, and then they'd come back at the end. Whereas with the Pacific and Masters of the Air, they didn't do that. You didn't have the surviving members do a bit of narration at the beginning, and then it slowly feed into the actual episode itself. And I think that's what made the difference between Band of Brothers and the other two. But Masters of the Air is the third series, and that's based on the American Air Force based over here and doing the bombing runs over Germany and France and that. And that's, again, it's a good series. Definitely not my favourite, but it's definitely every time an episode's available, I'm straight on it. And I get annoyed because it says next episode is available on the 14th. So you wake up in the morning, you go, oh, it's the 14th. The episode will be ready. And then when you go on there, it's like, episode's not ready yet. And you're like, how long have I got to wait?
Speaking of movies, I tried to get into Dune remakes.
Yes.
Last night, and I don't know, it wasn't happening.
It's difficult. I prefer the original.
Right. I like that when they're fighting and they have the shields go up in the original.
Yeah. The original was Sting. Sting as one of the Harkonnen. The original film I thought was absolutely ace. And the problem is, I think when they remake films, they like to sort of put them in the way they would have been imagined originally, but then they make them too long. And I just prefer the short and sweet version. But they've said now that they want to do the other ones because he wrote more than just the one story. You got Children of Dune to go as well, and there's another one coming out after this one. But he said he's only the director of these two films said he's only going to make the one more, and if there is going to be the fourth one come out, then it will be a different director. So he'll do the third.
I was really trying to engage in it, and it wasn't happening.
I don't think it succeeded as well as the original, personally. But if you've read the books, I think it's Dune Messiah and Children of Dune. So if you've read the books, then the films make sense. If you haven't read the books, then the films, you have to then look at the films as a standalone thing and not look at them and compare them, because otherwise it sort of it will throw you a bit. Well, we got this. Hi Wayne in the UK. You have a gentleman called Tony Ferguson, Ghost Whisperer over here in the States. We love him. Have you had a chance to investigate with him? I do know of Tony Ferguson. I am friends with him on Facebook, actually.
The name does sound very familiar.
It's quite possible that at some point I may have investigated with him, not realising who he is. I've done that quite a few times. I've been out and investigated with people and not realised who they are until the end of the night. And I've gone, oh my God, I've just realised who you are. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you read the books, I mean, I love reading. And I've always found that if you've got the imagination, who needs movies? And I do it with Stephen King books. I love Stephen King books, and I've got 3 shelves full of Stephen King books. And Stephen King's It has always been a favourite. The first film I liked, but I knew because I've read the book that it should have been a lot longer. And then they reimagined it the way Stephen King wanted.
I feel like they destroyed the Dark Tower series. I read them books and I absolutely loved Roland and just the concept, and then I was just like,
I can't get in that film.
What is this?
Yeah, I couldn't get into. I'm not.
Stephen King was he even on the set? Was he even in the state? What do you mean?
I was sitting there watching it, and I'm thinking to myself, "Hang on a minute, that ain't right. That's a bit weird." And that film, although if I was to push it to one side and not associate it with Stephen King, then it wouldn't be so bad. I mean, it took me years to figure out that Arnold Schwarzenegger's Running Man was written by Stephen King. I never realised. And I'm sitting there going, hey, is it? And then when I looked into it, I discovered, yes, Stephen King wrote it, but he wrote it under Richard Bachman.
Well, he used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Because it
was a completely different genre.
In the US, you could only put out so many books at a time, so he just had like 15, 20 different author names that he put out.
Yeah.
And he was so up a lot of the times too when he was writing. Like to this day, he's like, I don't know what Cujo's about. I have no recollection of writing that book.
I mean, they come out as Richard Bachman, didn't it? The Bachman books. And Running Man was one of the books in there. And then as soon as it was realised that it was him that wrote it, he admitted it.
I didn't realise he wrote Running Man.
Yeah. It took me ages to realise it, but it's
wow.
Richard Bachman that wrote it. And if you look at the Bachman books, which has got the Regulator in it, they're written under Richard Bachman, which is Stephen King.
Makes me almost wonder, is there any crossover in Dark Tower and Running Man?
Running Man was a very weird...
Dark Tower, like, there's a little bit of everything from every one of his books apparently repeats in Dark Tower.
Yeah, it's possible. I think I've only got as far as the third of the Dark Tower books because I ran into a block. I got so far, and then I found it very difficult to actually find the rest of the books. And then he then, I think it was when he got to number 6, I think it was it number 6? That was released. I then went to the bookshop to get that one and found all the others all in one go. So I'm just like, right, thanks. But I was very lucky. I managed to find the original Green Mile books. When Stephen King first wrote The Green Mile, they were released as a series. And you got 6 books for The Green Mile.
Awesome.
And I managed to find all 6 for sale in a market stall. All 6. And I'm like, I'm having them. Don't care how much they cost. Grab them. Because they were the first ones. And I go absolutely nuts if any of my kids get anywhere near my books, especially The Green Mile, because that's the first ever edition. I would go ape. But if you compare it to the new edition, the latest version of The Green Mile, the new one is a lot thicker. It's massive compared to the original. The original is they're literally like a thumbnail thick. They're really small, thumbnail thick. That's all. 6 of them, and that was it. But you look at the other one, the newer version, and it's like massive, and you're just like,
why?
Because they've referred it back towards the film.
Oh, okay.
It's like with Stephen King's It. If you were to put the film version into a book, the film version in a book form would be a lot thicker than Stephen King's actual version. But the Stephen King's It was the only film that I actually appreciated when they redid it. When they redid it into the 2 separate films, I thought that was brilliant because of the special effects they were able to use compared to how they did it originally with Tim Curry as Pennywise. They actually did quite a good job of it this time round. But I think the next one I'll go and see will be the new Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So
there's a pretty sweet popcorn bucket that looks like a ghost trap that I have my eye on. So
you're going to queue up just to get it.
An old paranormal shelf.
What was that? Did that your little studio? Did that take you really long time to get set up?
No, it's just all random shit I've just kind of had over the years.
Oh dear. I'm actually doing a collection. I've got Gizmo from the Gremlins, and I've got William the little worm from the film Labyrinth. And I took it to we have oh God. We have a Comic-Con in Colchester, and last year was the second year I'd done it, and I thought, do you know what? They've asked me to take all my paranormal gear up there, so I've taken my stuff up there. I've taken me books, and we've been promoting all the shows that I do and everything else. And I had this sitting there on the table, and everybody was going, "Oh my God, I remember you!" Now, do you remember the film Labyrinth?
Yes.
Do you remember this cute little guy?
Yes. I don't
That's
remember
William.
His name, but yeah.
That's William. Come on in and have a cup of tea. Come on and meet the missus. And then
Gizmo, of course.
Mugwell. I'll take him up there with me, and that's quite a crowd.
There apparently is a new Gremlins movie coming out this year.
I hope so. Long time coming, if it is.
There's a children's special too, a little cartoon that my son was watching, and I was like, "Yeah, you know what Gremlins is."
I've yet to introduce my kids to the Gremlins movies.
It's a good one.
It's good nightmares.
My wife doesn't appreciate Jim Henson as much as me, so I don't get to show him much of his. I tried showing them the Muppets, and she's like, "Why are you showing them that?"
Oh, there's nothing wrong with the Muppets. I used to love the Muppets.
Me too.
The 2 old blokes up on the in that little balcony thing on the Muppet Show. I can't
Oh
remember
yeah.
their names now. Oh God, is this a Google moment? Is it?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Hang on.
It's supposed to be like Ebert and whatever his face was. They're making fun of.
Two old guys in the Muppets, Statler and Waldorf, are a pair of Muppet characters from the sketch comedy television series The Muppet Show, best known for their cantankerous opinions and shared penchant for heckling.
Animal's still the first.
Chef. I like Chef.
Yeah, I like Chef too. And Sneeper.
Stick a William in the pot. I think it's time to go.
Yeah.
Hang on, you were talking about the Muppets. What's my nickname?
Oh yeah, you're Miss Piggy. She does a good impression of Miss Piggy. She goes, yeah. Anyway. So anyway, thank you everybody for popping in and joining us tonight, and some of you for actually staying with us for quite a while. Actually, we've gone on longer than we normally do, but
right.
I think it's been a nice little chat, and hopefully Mark will be back with us next week, and we will see you all soon.
Keep your eyes on the skies, everybody. That's what Mark would say.
Yep, keep your eyes to the skies and let us know. I don't know the email addresses, that's on Mark's domain, and whatnot, but you can always send myself, Josh, or Mark a message and of anything that you find of interest. Let us know, and we'll bring it up next week's show. So we will see you all soon. And obviously, if we leave now, Josh, that's it. So I'll have to say goodbye to you now.
All right. Nice talking to you.
Yep, and I'll see you next week, Josh.
Everybody have a great rest of your week. Catch you all later. Bye.
Bye.
See you all next week.